welcome to Home Sweet Loan. We are here with Erin Rastetter, and we are so excited to have her join us. Erin is a newer agent into real estate, and one of the reasons I wanted to have her on is because the amount of fantastic success you're having. So welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This is such a great space for agents, new agents to learn from you, and older agents or seasoned agents to kind of refocus as to like what works and what doesn't work, such as early on. So we're excited to have you. Tell us a little bit about your background.
So I started in corporate America. 7 years I was in HR.
Okay.
And that's the path I chose. That's where I was going. But I always loved real estate, and real estate always weighed on me. My family is interior designers. I used to rearrange my bedroom at 3 a.m. Like it's in my blood. So I decided that maybe I want to get my real estate license. And in the process of doing that, a job came open at the West Volusia Association of Realtors.
Okay. Yep.
And my aunt was at Florida Realtors for 40 years. So I'm no stranger to it.
Nope. You've been, yeah.
And so I just said, do you think I'd be a good fit for this? She says, yeah, I think you'd be great. So I interviewed, and then I got the job there, and I loved my job there.
What were you doing there?
I was the director of education and events.
Okay. So definitely learned a lot, I'm sure, being a part of that and planning events and learning about the industry. That's awesome.
Yes. So the front row seat.
Yeah, that's a good place to actually start in the industry. It does give you a very solid foundation.
100%. I mean, I get to see both sides now.
Yeah.
And before it was like I knew the background and I didn't see the foreground, but now I have both sides. So
you did that. How long were you there?
Almost 10 years.
Oh, gosh, that's a long time.
It is a long time.
And and then what made you decide to transition to get your real estate license?
Again, that I loved real estate, and it was still weighing on me, and I felt like, okay, I love my job here, but if it's still weighing on me, it's still poking, I felt that maybe I needed to take that next step.
That's a big jump from going from a salaried position to 100% commission. So I'm sure there was a lot of back and forth.
Oh, yes.
Am I making the right decision?
100%.
Is this the right thing for me? So, well, it's a good thing you did, because you're having some amazing success. So you got your license and left there when?
I got my license in May, but back to what you said, I was back and forth. I was too chicken to leave. I love my job, and I was afraid of making that leap. But after talking to, mentors and my husband, and everyone's like, you have to do it at some point. You just have to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Someone actually told me, you're going to rip the Band-Aid off a lot in real estate. And that has never been truer. But I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
So glad. But I did that in June.
Okay. So now you've been a full-time agent really for 9 months now?
9 months, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And what has your fundings been?
I've had 9.
That's
closings.
amazing. That's amazing.
In 9 months.
So a brand new agent, under a year, you've had 9 closings, helped 9 families buy or sell homes. And I will tell you, that's more than a lot of agents do in their first couple years. So you're having some huge success, and that's so exciting. So congratulations. I can't wait to see where you go, because if you've done that much in just that short period of time, obviously you've got big things ahead.
I'm very excited.
So, what made you decide to choose the brokerage that you're with now? I know you changed recently. Why'd you choose initially where you went, and then what made your decision to change?
So talking again, I did a lot of research, and people who I had the opportunity of knowing so many agents in the West Volusia area and watching how they did business. I really watched who did what and who I wanted to be like. And I thought going big box, big name brand was going to be the way to go, the education. But I come to find out, I really did learn a lot at the board, and I had a lot
more than you thought you knew.
I did.
Okay.
I did. So there while I gained a lot of experience in the transaction with, mentors and things like that, I'm very grateful for them. Big box wasn't for me.
Okay.
And I then decided to go back and look at boutique.
Okay.
And
so big box, I think when you're a brand new agent and you didn't have the background that you had, probably was
100%.
But to your point, you knew a lot more than you thought.
I did, and I didn't realize I knew as much as I did.
Which was probably really good for you to see and realize. Yeah, huge confidence booster. So you joined Lively Real Estate, and what made you choose Lively?
Well, I had spoken with Janelle. I've known her for 15 years. I had spoken to her when I wanted to get my license, and I've watched her succeed, and I've watched her just grow Lively into this really great business and a brokerage, and I aspire to be that. And I want to surround myself with people that I want to be like.
Yeah.
And I've watched her grow, and I would love to continue that success.
Yeah, that's awesome. She's fantastic. We had her on here a couple episodes ago, and watching her success, like you said, it's very contagious. So you want to surround yourself with those people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What approach did you take? So you started out mid-year last year. Your first couple of months, you were with the other brokerage. What were some things that approaches that you took that made you feel like you were really getting a good grip and growing and doing the things you need to do to get business?
Definitely leaning on my mentor there, leaning on fellow realtors has been huge. Again, another benefit of being at the board. I had the relationship with other realtors who have been just detrimental in my success and being helpful. I had a coach for a little bit, which was good.
That was at the other brokerage.
At the other brokerage,
Okay.
it was provided with them, so that was a plus too. But it was such a whirlwind, so quick that I feel like I blinked and I just had all this business. So I am very fortunate for that, but I don't know that there was any rhyme or reason for it in the very beginning that I can look back on.
Well, I'm sure it has a lot to do with the way you've structured your days, right? So like you treat this as a
job,
a full-time job.
Oh, yes.
Like you're not like, what am I going to do today? I'm sure you're planning out your weeks and
I go in
structure.
Going into the office is big for me. That was part of finding some balance and familiarity with going from a 9 to 5 to owning my own business and having my own schedule and keeping myself accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a big transition when you go from working in an office 9 to 5 to, okay, now I'm my own boss. And nobody's telling you like get here right at your job. Nobody's telling you to get to work. So I'm sure getting into the office and creating that structure is very helpful. And again, I see a lot of agents don't do that. So I think that either they don't have a local office or they just feel like working from home or whatever makes more sense. But I do think that creates very good structure. So that's definitely a good habit. What are some challenges you feel like you faced very early on?
I think that the biggest challenge I had was time management. That was a huge challenge. It's still a challenge.
Still a challenge, like in the industry for a really long time now, still a challenge too.
Yeah. So I think that's probably my biggest obstacle.
Yeah. And what are some things that you do to try to structure your day to make the most out of it? Like what are some of the things that you feel like have been helpful with trying to help you with time management?
Going into the office.
Okay. Yeah.
Going into the office and having, even if it's only for a half a day before I pick up my kids, just going in and sitting down and saying, okay, here's what I'd like to do today.
Yep. Time blocking.
Time blocking
is a big one.
It really is. I think some people are better at it than others, but I'm still working on it.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's very effective, but it's hard to do. So, yes. What are some of the biggest surprises you've had in getting into real estate? Because obviously you saw a lot from where you were sitting in your previous role, but what are some of the surprises that you didn't think you'd have?
The industry I found can be very lonely at times. While I love it, I think some of the biggest surprises too is that to look at how the consumer looks at the realtors. Sometimes that can be skewed. I feel like the consumers don't always know exactly what we do.
Yeah, that's 100%.
And how hard we work.
Yeah.
Even me working at the board for so long, I saw a lot of it, but you don't see that till you're right in it.
No, you don't. Yeah. So what are some of the things that you feel like you do to help show the value that you create and make them know, all of the things you're doing? There's that thing that says like, these are the 200 activities I do as an agent. And obviously consumers don't know that. So how do you make sure that you're providing the value and making sure they understand how hard you do really work?
I think I focus on making the consumer, my sellers, my buyers understand, or I go that extra mile. I do those extra things. I just had a deal where the seller was going to try to do it for sale by owner. And she told me she was so glad she didn't because she didn't realize what was involved.
Yeah.
It's letting them know. Communication is huge.
In everything, communication.
Communication is huge. And letting them know.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to tell them.
These are all the things that I do to help make this transaction smooth, and absolutely, to help you have the most seamless process, right? Communication is huge. Communication between us, communication with your customers, and all the activities that you're doing. It's important for them to know.
Yes, 100%.
So how have you built your database, your client base? Like, where are you getting customers from, or buyers, sellers? Where are you getting?
So when I first got my license and I went to my brokerage and they pointed me in the direction of open houses, and I'll be honest, when I first got into real estate, I was like, oh, I don't want to do open houses. Those aren't popular, but I tell you what, that was the best advice I followed. Is I got out there, I didn't have any listings, so agents, I would reach out, ask agents, hey, can I post your open house, or can I host it? Can I be there?
Yeah.
And that is where the first few deals came from.
That's awesome.
Open houses and just working. I worked 4 or 5 a month, every weekend, at least one.
You're always doing a lot of open houses.
I do a lot of open houses. I do.
And now they're all for your listings.
Now they're for my listings.
That's awesome. Yes. So how are you getting your listings? Like, how are you letting people know, that this is what I do now? Like, what are you, like,
anyone who knows me has seen my face on Facebook.
Right.
So social media. Social media is huge. I try to just blast it out there. I'm sure some people are like, you again. But
I might have some snoozes myself, so
but I've had a lot of my friends and family and even strangers. I was at the ball field, my kids are in ball, and a lady kept looking at me. She goes, I know I've seen you. And it was from social media, we come to find out. So social media has been huge, just continuously talking to people, letting people know what I do. How are they going to know if I don't tell them?
If you don't, yeah. It's the community is huge. We have a very small community. Is 100%. Huge. And a lot of people know you. You've had kids come through the school, but now letting them know that you're in this new role is obviously important. So it's good that you're out. That's a great way to add people to your database, and make sure that they know what you do and that you're here to help them. And
I always say, be where you are.
Yeah.
So if I'm spending time at the ball field because my kids play, I'm there and I'm letting everybody know that I can help.
Yeah.
And I love what I do.
Yeah. So. That's awesome. So what are some of the key habits that you feel like you've used or that have helped you be consistent?
I would say habits would be definitely time blocking, definitely structure, continuing to do the same things over and over until they become habit, right? I would say that just staying on track and remembering your why. I love what I do. And
so what is your why? Since you brought that up.
I have a couple. So one, I started, of course, my family, right? I've got kids. I want to be successful. I don't want to fall on my face. Your kids watch you. And I want to continue to show them that if you put your mind to it and you work hard, you're going to get it and you're going to do it. So my second one is I don't ever want to go back to a 9-to-5. I love being my own boss, and when you love what you do, you don't ever feel like you're working.
That's so true.
That is huge. Those are my whys.
And so early on at your first company, you had a coach that was provided, but I understand you're still doing coaching. Tell me about why you're choosing to do coaching, how it's helped you, some of those things that can help. Because I think early on, people feel like they don't need a coach because they're new and they can't either afford it or, whatever. So what's made you choose that route and how's it helped you?
That was a thing for me, right? Once I left, that brokerage, I kind of grew, and I think I needed more of a business perspective than motivation. And I had to sit down with my husband and say, hey, this is where I want to put my money. This is what's going to make me money. And after talking to Janelle and seeing what the best options were, if coaching, not just, keeping me accountable, but running my own business, I hadn't done that before.
Yeah.
So that's where I decided to put my money, what was going to make me money.
I think a lot of people think that coaching is the motivational, just I want to get up and work today, right? But
there's many factors.
And the coach that you have really helps a lot with the business aspect, doing your profit and loss and things that I would say most realtors aren't even looking at.
I wouldn't have thought about it.
Right. But how do you know, where you're spending your money? How do you know what's working, what's not? How do you, you are your own business. And so
she, like you said, the profit and loss, she keeps me on track with that. She teaches me how to do it, how to run all sides of the business, not just like, hey, what's working for your listing or what's not. It's all aspects of it, which has been super helpful and I wouldn't change a thing.
And how often do you coach with her?
I coach once a week.
Okay.
Yeah, once a week.
And would you say that, so I mean, she's got people from all over, because I know who she is. She's got people from all over. She provides, I'm sure, some sort of education as to like, hey, this is working in this market. This person has this. It's successful. Right. Has that been helpful to you?
Yes. So that's one thing I really love about that is she's not going to we're not just throwing darts at the wall
just to see what's going
to work.
Yeah.
She's giving me stuff that's proven to work and she's seen work firsthand. So we're not wasting time.
Yeah.
It's all proven things that she's seen work.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is a huge step very early on to decide to spend money at that. And again, I would say probably 75% of agents don't have a coach, and then much less the newer ones. So the fact that you made that decision early on probably also has helped in a lot of your success too, right? I mean, it's not
taking you to the next level.
Taking you to the next level.
Absolutely.
I mean, 9 transactions in 9 months is huge. Yeah. Again, there are a lot of agents that I speak to that are not getting that in a 2-year period. So especially with the market, it's been an interesting market.
It was an interesting market, and it was very uncertain, with everything going on in real estate, and not only the market, but just different things. And I think that it was just jump in, and because I didn't want to fail, I had to work as hard as I possibly could, and I ripped the Band-Aid off a lot.
Yeah.
Like I was, believe it or not, when I started at the board, I was very shy. That brought me out of my shell to be able to take that next step.
Yeah.
But I still have to rip the Band-Aid off. It's not comfortable. There's a lot of uncomfortable, but I do it and it works. And
hey, here's the other thing. Most people don't know when you're not really unsure, right? As long as you can fake it till you make it.
Exactly. If you can get through the uncomfortable,
yeah,
no one else is going to know.
And the other thing that I love about it is you're starting out in a time when everybody is struggling, right?
Yes.
I mean, the struggle is real for everybody. On my side, on your side, it's just it's really hard right now in our industry. And if you're having this much success where things are tough, imagine what it's going to look like when, things do improve and rates are a little bit lower and there's more inventory and there's more buyers. I mean, we're all trying to find buyers right now,
right.
And lead generation is hard. So if, you're really learning at the hardest time. So when things get better, it's all cyclical, so it'll all come back. But you'll have a super strong foundation. So that's got to be very encouraging.
It is, and that's kind of how I look at it right now, right? And that was my goal. If I can get my name out there and I can just make my face familiar, then they'll think of me when it is time. Like you said, when it does come back around, and when it does, I'll at least have spent this time putting my brand out, putting my name out.
That's awesome.
So
it's so funny. I was telling a friend yesterday, that I was doing a podcast with a newer agent that's having some major success, and they were like, "Oh, Erin," and I was like, "Yes, isn't that funny?" So you're getting the social media is working, and all the things that you're trying to do are working. So that's awesome.
But I think too, if we as real estate agents and business partners can all work together and just really want to see each other succeed, I think this industry would be a powerhouse.
So I know in some conversations you've said that you've been surprised at the way that you thought things were maybe with some agents and they're not. And so it's
like with anything.
It's like with anything, but it is very cutthroat right now. I mean, and then you also really learn about who your true friends are.
Who's out to see you succeed and who's in your corner and who isn't. So
yeah, it's all learning.
It's a learning experience.
For sure, absolutely. Okay, so as a newer agent, this may be a little bit of a strange question, but what one piece of advice would you give newer agents that are coming and starting into the business? Because you're 9 months in now, so
I'm becoming a senior associate.
Yeah.
No, I think my biggest advice is treat it like a job. Treat it like a job. You can't sit back and watch TV and expect the leads to flow in, right?
It just doesn't work like that.
It doesn't. You have to get out there, you have to hit the pavement, and you have to put in the hard work.
Yeah. And what's one piece of advice that you've gotten from, maybe, because I'm sure when you said that you were coming out and you were going to be a realtor, you had a million pieces of advice thrown your way from seasoned agents. What's one thing that's maybe resonated with you?
Be consistent. be consistent, and don't be afraid to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because if you're uncomfortable, you're growing.
You're growing, you're learning. And I think that's the biggest thing is like people talk about call reluctance and doing the things that maybe aren't as fun in the business that you have to do, but it's ways to get business and grow.
Door knocking was terrifying to me, but after you get through the first 10 doors,
yeah, believe it
it's
or not,
just a conversation.
Nobody really. I mean, I've door knocked too, and it was terrifying the first couple of houses, but like, I don't think we had anybody that was mean.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe not like most excited to see us,
No.
but again, nobody was like nasty, like screaming for us to get off the property. So, but and so door knocking, that is actually a good. Are you doing much of that? I mean,
I do. I mean, I don't do it probably as frequently as I did in the first like 4 or 5 months. I was doing it daily. Now I do tend to do it, before an open house or things like that, where I want to get the message out and I want to put my face out there.
Again,
I will do it.
There are things that some people are just unwilling to do, but when you are willing and you have the drive, it makes such a difference. Yes. Because there are a lot of agents that'll say, "I'm not doing it."
That way.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, who really wants to do that, right? I mean, is it fun? No, but it's like you said, getting uncomfortable is obviously very important, especially when there's new tasks that you're just not used to.
Yes.
So top tips for we said consistency. If you had any other tip for a new agent coming into the business, what would it be?
To put in the work.
Yeah.
Put in the work hard, and just don't stop until you're satisfied with where you are. Yeah. Or you've reached your goal.
Yeah. What are some of the current goals that you have for your business, say, a couple years out? What are some things that you want to see yourself accomplish?
Honestly, I would like to, once I gave myself 2 years to really grow my business and get that, but I would like to start teaching. I'd love to get my instructor's license and kind of go back to the classroom. I enjoy it. I think it's being able to help other agents as well is a big deal for me. So I would love to get my instructor's license.
And do you see yourself in any sort of mentorship role, or?
I don't know that I would see it full time. I am always willing to help.
Yeah.
If someone reaches out to me and has a question, and I say that now, right? Like I'm still growing myself. So there's still some of those things where I'm like, am I qualified to help somebody else? Like
you are.
I know, but it's like I'm always open door.
Yeah.
If you have a question or if there's something, I feel so good when seasoned agents in my office come to me and they're like, hey, well, what about this? Or how are you doing this? And I'm like, me?
Yeah. Because you have to remember, there are agents. So a newer agent coming in, it's great to talk to a really seasoned agent who's obviously got a system down and is doing really well. But it's hard to take advice sometimes from that agent because they're in a totally different place.
Right.
So a newer agent coming in and trying to learn from somebody who's newer and is going through that and having success is a great place to learn.
Fresh eyes are always good. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm always willing to help. And if anyone ever had a question for me, I'm not gonna turn them.
We're gonna share your information. So you may have some of those. What has the partnerships, the role of partnerships for you? How has that changed or helped your business?
My business partners?
Yeah.
That has been huge. And again, I will continue to go back to my time at the board. I had the opportunity to work with so many great business partners, not only in West Volusia, but outside of that as well. And that gave me a huge leg up. I had so many people reach out to me and support me and are in my corner. So working with them has been huge. We've done deals together, and I've had the opportunity to work with several title partners too. So, and then I've got people who help me with my events and sponsors and things. So it's been a great avenue growing my business.
Yeah, I'm sure. And obviously not everybody has the partnerships that you probably had established coming into the industry, but it's very easy to create those
100%. I think my only advice I would say to business partners is don't be afraid to reach out to the agent, because as a new agent, I can't imagine not coming into this totally green, not knowing anybody. I'd be
Yeah.
like, I would be afraid.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't ask. I probably wouldn't reach out. And I know that there's probably new agents out there who feel that way. So my advice to business partners is reach out.
Reach out.
They
Yeah.
probably want your help and don't want to ask.
Yeah, it's true. It is very true. And it's
Yeah.
Sometimes we feel like, if they needed something, they'd ask.
Right.
But it's not always that way. Like you said, especially being brand new, it's hard
Yeah.
to know like what's, when
You don't
to
know
reach
where to
out.
go. You don't know who to reach out to, right? So I always say that I give new agents who came into this with no real estate background, they're very brave.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine doing it without it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So any niche markets that you focus on or that you want to focus on?
I would love to focus on veterans and VA.
Yep.
I did not serve, but I have many family members who have served, and I feel like that is my way of giving back. If I can help these veterans and their families get into homes, that would be my way of saying thank you.
And it is such a market that that is overlooked. I mean, a lot of agents don't want to take offers from veterans or don't want to help veterans just because sometimes the offers are harder to get accepted, and it's such an education piece because the VA loan is a fantastic loan.
Yes.
But there's a lot of misconception out there, so it's a lot of just really educating people.
It is, and I tell you that I just had a home that I had listed, and the buyer that came was a VA loan, and I had the opportunity to actually, the VA appraiser that came out was extremely helpful.
Yeah.
She was willing to answer questions, and they're not
awesome.
They're not always wanting. They're busy, and they don't always want to stop and chat. But she was so helpful.
So when it came to like asking questions about VA appraisals and what she's looking for, and make sure that's awesome.
And what's important and what won't go past them and what will. So that was huge.
I'm sure you got your notebook out and you were like taking notes.
I walked around with her and I followed her.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, it was very helpful. I was very grateful for her. So
again, just ask the
questions. Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
What are they going to say? No.
What are they? Right. No, you can't. Yeah. And somebody might. And it's okay. Move on to the next one next time.
They might. So
what marketing strategies, or how do you feel like you can grow that? Like what are you going to do to grow that side?
So far I've really gotten involved with Decision Tactical in Sanford. They do a lot of veteran and family give back.
That's awesome.
That was probably one of the first events I did last year when I got my license, and doing that really, was able to get contacts with, Veterans Affairs and all of the, companies who provide service dogs for these veterans.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just getting to know all of them.
Yeah. So taking the time to, step outside and meet other people outside of just, that's a great
networking in that environment and submersing myself. My brother is a veteran and served. So him and involving that way too has been helpful.
And have you been able to pick up any additional new clients from those organizations?
I haven't yet,
but it's early.
It is early.
Those things take time.
It does, and you really have to get into it and work them.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't.
Overnight thing.
Yeah, no. So.
And that's the other thing. I think a lot of people jump into something and they're like, okay, I'm going to do this like once or twice, and if it doesn't yield results,
and you can't go into it with I'm going to get a deal out of this. I'm going to get a lead.
Yeah.
I go into it with a hope heart.
Yep.
And I want to give back, and I want to see these people be successful and reach their goals.
I love that.
It's not just about getting the deal closed.
It's a whole different approach, and it's a long-term approach.
It is.
It's going to take time, and knowing that is really, going into it. As long as you do that, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we're going to go through some rapid fire things. What is one thing that you do every day that helps keep you productive?
Time blocking again. I'm not always good at it. I'm not always successful.
Hey, but at least you're aware of it.
But I am very aware. And anytime we'll sit in a meeting at the office, and I'm like, I'll watch a training, and I'm like, well, where do they find the time? Oh, it all comes back to time
blocking. Yeah, it is.
So
it's a hard thing to do, but again, at least you're aware of it. I mean, I have things on my calendar that are like time blocked, and sometimes I'm like a snooze, but it's there.
But that is one thing that my coach has. We literally built a calendar and we kept going, and she helped me put the core things on there that I needed to do.
And are you getting those done?
I am getting them done.
Awesome.
I am getting them done. Now they're not a lot, you know.
But start small,
right?
Because otherwise it can be really
I
overwhelming.
mean, I even had to time block picking up my kid from school. Okay.
But again, that way you know
it starts somewhere.
Yeah, it starts somewhere, and that's on your calendar, and now that's a part of your day, and like now you can build around
Correct.
it. So
Correct. That was part of why I got into being an entrepreneur and having my own hours, because I wanted to be there for my kids. And if I'm not doing that, what was the point?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And what is your favorite lead gen activity? I think you said it, open houses. Is there anything else that you do outside of open houses that you think has been helpful in generating leads?
Open houses has been huge.
Yeah.
My sphere has been big too. Being where I am. I really do attack the baseball fields, right? Because I spend a lot of time there with both my kids. So yeah, I would say just talking to people.
Yeah.
I like people. So.
Yeah. Talking to people, getting out there. Yeah, I think that's big. Who inspires you in real estate the most?
So again, back to talking about being around people who I want to be like and aspire to be. I would say Janelle.
Your broker.
My broker. I watched her grow in many different avenues and other successes. And I knew when I watched her grow in real estate that that's what I wanted. Of course, it's not just her. I've got other people who have helped me along the way, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah. So that's awesome, though. But you get to essentially mentor with your broker, who is somebody that you aspire to be like every day, and you get to see her do it, and she works hard.
And she works hard, and she stops to make time for any question I have. She picks up the phone. She's there. If she doesn't have the answer, she gets it.
And that's important for your broker too.
Yeah.
The support.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I know. In the past, I've talked to agents who don't even know who their broker is. So.
I love the whole. I called my broker a couple days ago and I still haven't heard back. And they're like, "What?"
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that she is, knowledgeable,
available, and successful.
Successful.
So she's doing it every day, and so it's a great way to learn. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, anything else you want to share with us that you feel like a new agent should know, like, or somebody who's even just thinking about coming into the industry? Anything you'd say, like the one piece of advice you'd give them to either do it or?
I mean, do it.
Just do
it.
it.
Why not? Just jump in with both feet, rip the Band-Aid off, and just do it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you are walking proof that hard work pays off.
It is hard work. It is. I was not handed anything.
And it is funny when people say like, "Oh, what is she doing to be so successful?" I think just working really, really hard.
It is.
It's not a secret sauce.
It's not a secret sauce. I work hard. I'm not handed leads.
You don't get. Yeah, that's the other thing. Is you're not given any leads.
I'm not given leads. So it's all organic, and I do it. And like I said, hit the pavement, work hard.
So if there, so I want to make sure everybody has a way to connect with you. So where are you on, all the platforms? How can people find you?
I mostly on Facebook, Erin Rastetter Realtor, or Your Agent Erin. That's kind of been my tagline.
Yep, and we'll share it. Yep.
Yes, Your Agent Erin. I'm also on Instagram under Your Agent Erin Florida. As well. I have not quite attacked TikTok yet or any of those, but for now it's really just been Facebook and Instagram.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on all you're doing. I truly cannot wait to see how you evolve, because I know it's going to be great.
Well, I love what I do, and I can't wait either. It's been so fun, and I love this avenue I've decided to explore. So thank you for having me.
Congratulations. Thanks.